Kamala Harris had a great interaction with Jeff Sessions where she, like others, was trying to break through this ridiculous legal fiction that he had created to stop himself from having to reveal conversations he's had with Donald Trump. But she did it particularly well, and you could see how it was influencing Jeff Sessions in real time. Let's roll video 8 now.
Did you have any communications with Russian officials for any reason during the campaign that have not been disclosed in public or to this committee?
I don't recall it, but I have to tell you, I cannot testify to what was said as we were standing at the Republican convention before the podium where I spoke.
My question is only as it relates to your knowledge.
I don't have the detailed memory of that.
Okay, as it relates to your knowledge. Did you have any communication with any Russian businessmen or any Russian nationals?
I don't believe I had any conversation with Russian businessmen or Russian nationals.
Are you aware of any communications?
A lot of people were at the convention. It's conceivable that somebody came up to me.
Sir, I have just a few.
Well, you let me qualify it. If I don't qualify it, you'll accuse me of lying. So I need to be correct as best I can.
I do want you to be honest.
And I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
Don't say that.
I want you again. So this is
not in a public urinal.
This is
okay.
I don't want to assume so, but this is a sworn testimony he's having in front of Congress. So think of it like court. You go in, you put your hand on the Bible, you raise your right hand, and you swear that you're going to tell the truth. So I just wanted you to imagine a two-bit accused criminal going in front of the judge and jury or whoever is deciding his fate, and then for the whole time he's asked questions by the prosecutor, he goes, I mean, not to my knowledge. I mean, I live in the area and I was near the convenience store. I've been in there before, but I can't tell you on the night of May 13th if I was actually in there at 6 to 7 o'clock when the crime took place. Maybe I was. And you just keep talking, they're gonna go, shut up and answer the question.
Yeah.
But if someone else tells me, hey, that's not what I was asking you, suddenly it's rude to step in and ask that the question get answered, because we have to respect certain people who are just as potentially corrupt and nefarious as these two-bit criminals that we're ready to lock away immediately.
Yeah, they would be pissed at you, and the police in your hypothetical don't have a 5-minute limit on how much they can talk, which it's ridiculous. I mean, I know these hearings go on and on, there's a lot of senators, but the time limits just don't make any sense to me. But I want to move on to this next section because my tease to that video was actually incorrect. But here is where they're going to get into, if you're going to say that theoretically the president can assert executive privilege later on, so you get to, by proxy, do it now without actually doing it. If you're gonna use this argument that we've never heard before, why didn't you actually bring any supporting information about it? And like in a video we showed you last week, things are gonna get a little bit testy and there's going to be an attempt to shush her.
Can you tell us what policy it is you're talking about?
Well, I think most cabinet people, as the witnesses you had before you earlier, those individuals declined to comment because we're all about conversations with the president.
Sir, I'm just asking you about the DOJ policy you referred to.
Policy that goes beyond just the Attorney General.
Is that policy in writing somewhere?
I think so.
So did you not consult it before you came before this committee, knowing we would ask you questions about it?
Well, we talked about it. The policy is based...
Did you ask that it would be shown to you?
The policy is based on the principle that the president...
Sir, I'm not asking about the principle. I'm asking when you would be asked these questions and you would rely on that policy. Did you not ask your staff to show you the policy that would be the basis for you refusing to answer the majority of questions that have been asked of you?
Should be allowed to answer the question.
Senators will allow the chair to control the hearing. Senator Harris, let him answer.
Please do. Thank you.
We talked about it, and we talked about the real principle that's at stake. It's one that I have some appreciation for, as having spent 15 years in the Department of Justice, 12 as United States Attorney, and that principle is that the Constitution provides the head of the executive branch certain privileges, and that members, one of them is confidentiality of communications. And it is improper for agents of any department any departments in the executive branch to waive that privilege without a clear approval
Mr. Chairman,
of the president.
I have asked.
And that's the situation we're in.
For a yes or no. Did you ask your
So the
staff
answer is yes, I
policy?
consulted.
Did you ask your staff to see the policy?
expired.
Apparently
Senator
not.
Cornyn.
Yes, I consulted with my staff about how not to answer these questions, and they told me to filibuster because the people who are going to be asking me these tough questions will only have a short time limit to do so. So if I talk as much as possible, I can maybe get out of here with my neck.
What you don't understand, it's the principle of the thing. It's the principle. Yeah, he kept returning to that. He consulted about, okay, here's our defense. Tell me about it. Tell me what I got. And then they said, okay, so when somebody asks you for specifics, just pull your pockets out. You got nothing. You got nothing, because it doesn't exist. It's not the principle of the thing. The principle is that you don't want to answer the damn question. But here's the thing. He's doing all of this smoke and mirrors to resist having to answer a couple of incredibly simple questions. But the cool thing is that in trying to not answer the questions, we know what the answer is. For instance, one of the questions that kept coming up is, in your conversations with Donald Trump, did he ever talk about Comey and the Russia investigation? Well, I can't answer anything about the conversation with the president. No, if it was no, you'd say it because it would help you at that point. Obviously, it would help you and it would help Donald Trump. The only case in which you don't answer that question is because, yes, obviously Donald Trump did talk to you about it. It was clear from you that he was trying to pressure Comey when he asked you to leave the room before those private conversations with the former head of the FBI, and you left the room. You were willing to do that. You knew what was going on, you devious little goblin of a man. You knew what you were doing, and now you're trying to evade any responsibility for it. And hopefully, smart people watching his testimony and reading about it later on can see through the BS and know that that is the truth.
Yeah, I was doing what I was told by the president, and that's a bad answer.
Yeah,
but that's the truth.
Exactly.
That's why you left the room.
Yeah, I was following orders. Never a good answer to a question about immoral or unethical behavior. By the way, one more thing. When talking about the firing of James Comey and the fact that it looks like it pretty clearly violated his pledge to recuse himself from this matter, his defense was, it wasn't about that. It was about dem emails, though, that we didn't like the way he handled the situation with Hillary Clinton before the election, so he had to be fired as a result of that. Now, thankfully, as a lot of people have pointed out, that directly contradicts not just reality, but Jeff Sessions himself in previous statements he's made. So he said this back last fall in response to a question from Lou Dobbs about his handling of the Hillary Clinton situation. Jeff Sessions said this about Comey. Comey has done what his duty is, I think. He's got evidence to go forward now with further criminal investigation. He has no other responsibility than to follow that and then tell the American people what he's doing. And that's just one statement. He's made 2 or 3 statements where he said, yeah, his handling of the situation was perfectly fine. That's one of the reasons, theoretically, he might stay on as head of the FBI. But then the situation changed, not having to do with Hillary Clinton's emails, but having to do with Russia. And we know that eventually ended up with James Comey being fired.
Doesn't make any sense. What reason would you have to go back and talk about emails from somebody you beat?
That you're mad that he revealed something about a possible investigation? No, obviously that's not what it is. And you know that more than likely helped you at least a little bit in the closing days of the election. Nobody buys that. As I
celebrated
tweeted,
as it was helping him.
Exactly. He's either lying or he is the only person on the planet who genuinely believes that. I think that the lying is a little bit more likely at this point.
What's in TYT membership? Not gonna tell you. Only one way to find out. TYTnetwork.com/join.